Hey, I'm Scott from the Build Local podcast. Thank you for taking a couple of moments to check out our content. If you want to go back and watch other episodes from the Build Local podcast, you can go to letsbuildlocal.com, or you can find us on Facebook or YouTube. Just search Let's Build Local. In this episode, Chris and I are going to continue our conversation, and we're going to be specifically talking about ways that you can evaluate your company's website and little things that you can do in order to boost your SEO, lay out your website a little bit better, but also allow your customers or interested prospective customers to find information quicker and easier on your website. It's all about being the best communicator you can be. So let's jump right into that conversation, and we'll talk again soon. All right, so last time we talked about some ideas on how and when to start marketing again. And so if you missed that episode, go back, check it out. Because in this episode, I'm going to be kind of talking to Chris because he's the web guy on, what are some simple changes that can make a big impact on your website? Because I think one of the things that I realized even with my own website were some of the shortcomings of, with the whole COVID. And so, Chris, what do you think are some things that that companies can look at their website and give a quick little evaluation of maybe some opportunities on their site?
Sure. I think one definitely a key thing, maybe the most important thing, is understanding what is the call to action on your website. What do you want customers to do? Do you want them to, is it fill out a form to get a quote? Is it something where they're probably just going to be picking up the phone? Are they going to be coming into the store to see you? Online ordering, so what is the ultimate action that you want them to take? So I think once you understand that, then you can work that in to the way that your content's structured. Not that you don't have some of that the educational, informational content on there, but the whole thing needs to be structured around that call to action, whatever that is.
So would you say kind of start with the end of what you want, like hey, fill out this form, and then build your content to always point people towards that?
Exactly. Yeah. So, and there are times when, like I said, depending on what your buying cycle looks like, how big of a purchase, how in depth of a purchase is your product or service. Because if somebody comes in to make a $20,000 purchase and you're like, all right, buy it now, they're not quite ready to do that. But that needs to be there. It needs to be obvious, and it needs to be, in some way should probably be on every page of your website. What you ultimately want, the action that you ultimately want your a site visitor to take.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What is your thought on pop-ups? There for a while, it was the big thing. Every page you go to on a website, a pop-up, join our email list, join this, do this, do this, do this. Is that effective, or is that something that with mobile, just kind of more annoys people?
Right. I think I would say use pop-ups with extreme caution. I think people are too. One of my biggest pet peeves is I go to a website and immediately a pop-up comes up, join our mailing list. I just got to your website. I haven't even had a chance to read the first sentence. I have no idea what you're all about, and I'm going to join your mailing list already. I mean, give me a chance to become interested at least a little bit first, and it's the same thing with almost every other type of pop-up. Join something, buy something, take this action. I think if you can find a way, and there are some technical ways to to time it. So after a person has been on the website for so long, or if they've been on a particular page for so long, and then you want to have a pop-up come up, that can work in certain situations. But I would say use caution with pop-ups.
Yeah. So what is another big thing that a lot of companies, maybe they built a WordPress site on their own, and they're trying to figure out how to optimize it. What are some other tips or suggestions that you would have for them?
Sure. If you've done any research on websites at all, you've probably seen the term SEO come up, which is search engine optimization, which is basically just the process of getting your website in a place where you're going to pop up at the top of Google mostly for key search terms. And that's a whole, it's a huge field on its own. There's a lot that goes into that, from, technical things on your site to how your site content is written, to inbound links, which are other sites linking into your site. But I think one key thing that I see sites miss a lot of the time that's relatively easy to do, particularly if you're using something like WordPress, is to get the meta titles correct. And a meta title, basically, if you have your browser open and you look at the tabs up at the top, it's what shows up in that tab. And that is just it's kind of the first thing that search engines will look at for what is this site about. Mm-hmm. And in most cases, you want the beginning of that meta title to be the primary keyword that people are going to search for when they're looking for your site. So for me, it's website design, it's digital marketing. If you are a restaurant, it's probably, say you're a pizza shop, it's probably pizza shops in whatever your hometown is, and then you put the title, the name of your actual pizza shop in there after that. So, and you can do meta titles with something. I recommend Yoast, SEO by Yoast is a great WordPress plugin if you're on WordPress.
Free, correct?
It's free. Yeah, there's a paid version, but it's fantastic what it's able to do for free these days. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's super practical, super easy. Depending on how many pages you have on your site, it could end up being a little time consuming.
Right.
But I think overall that those are pretty simple things that you can do.
Right.
So what is your thought on media on a site? Do photos matter? Do videos matter? And if you do, like you said, if you do any kind of research on a website, you might have heard alt tags, for photos. Mm-hmm. How important is that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think that's very important. It's another way for you to pull visitors into your site. A lot of people will use Google image search, and the way that search engines are able to read those images and figure out what is in those images, what they're all about, is through something called an alt tag. And a lot of, the WordPress has an easy way for you to be able to fill in that alt right. tag as well. So yeah, I'd say that is definitely an important way to get more traffic to your site. As well as, video and photos being sure. extremely important for holding people's attention and building that trust and that interest while they're on your site. It can be a great way. If you optimize your video and your images for SEO, it can be a great way to get more traffic into your site as well.
Yeah, so it seems to me like there's a lot of moving parts that you kind of have to artfully put together in order for a website to be truly effective. You can't just throw 100 videos on your website and say, all right, we're good to go. This is an effective
Right.
website.
Right.
Or videos, or, have 300 pop-ups, or, coupons, whatever you want to do. It has to be thought out. It almost has to be storylined
Mm-hmm.
into the buying process, or the learning process for a consumer. And so I think that's part of some of the wisdom that someone like you can bring to a client that may not be thinking those things through, or maybe they know how the client thought process works, but they aren't quite sure how to put that into a digital means. And so
Right.
that's where like a web designer who has some marketing understanding could help out.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And it goes back to, I think, what we talked about in the last video a little bit is, you want to be strategic with how your website is structured, just
Yeah.
like you want to be strategic with your overall marketing plan and how that fits into your goals and your goals for your business.
Yeah. Do you have any more quick tips that a company could look at and say, you know what, this is something that we could probably do, or something that, hey, we need help with this because we know this is an issue on our site?
Right, right. And I think, yeah, one more, and I think this has been a buzzword for a while, and um, it's maybe not as big of an issue as it used to be, but it's responsive
Mm,
design.
yeah.
Sites being mobile optimized. A lot of, if you're using something like WordPress, the theme will have responsive elements built in, but then you also need to look at that, because not everything is going to automatically transfer down and look good on a mobile device. There may be some tweaks, or you may even need to. A lot of the time, I'll find myself rebuilding content. I'll have this piece of content. This is what shows up if you're on a desktop. This is what shows up if you're on a mobile device. But thinking about that, because so much of your traffic, typically around 60% or more of your traffic, is going to be on a mobile device. Now that may be a little bit less if you're in certain industries, or if you're business to business, but still, a high percentage of your traffic is mobile.
So would you say for some companies, it would probably be wise to think mobile and to design mobile first instead of, desktop first?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Especially, I don't know, if you're a restaurant, if you're a retail
Mm,
store, where a lot of your traffic is going to be people pulling up your website while they're out and about. Hopefully not while they're driving,
right.
but you know, um, yeah. So yeah, mobile first is another big buzzword right now, and it's something that you definitely want to be considering. Because it used to be that percentage of mobile visitors has been growing over the last however many years, probably over the
Yeah.
last 15 plus years. Um, so yeah, and now it's gotten to the point where it's the majority of your traffic.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to look at how the majority of users. It's no longer an afterthought. It's that's your design, and then there are going to be some people looking at it on desktop too. So
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely appreciate your insight on this. I know from designing some of my own websites that it can be um, a major time consuming thing. I can get
mhm.
sucked into it. And every moment that I'm spending on my website, I'm not spending on my business. And so that's why it's really helpful to have someone who knows what they're doing, who knows how to structure sites, and knows how to take your needs and your wants and your directives and apply it to a website, so that you can focus on the day-to-day running the business and generating more sales and revenue and leads, while that is also being taken care of. And so
Right.
I think those are all great things. And also that a website it's not just a let's throw something together and hope it works. Like, you can be very diligent and purposeful in what is on a website. Like, I don't think you should ever have anything on a website that doesn't need to be there.
Right.
Just because, oh, well, let's throw it on the website. Like there should be a reason for each and everything.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. People, people have so many options and where to buy and what to buy these days. And if they get to your website and it's confusing and there's a bunch of extra, like you said, a bunch of stuff there that's not, that doesn't get to the point, then they're gone. They're looking at another website. So yeah, I think that's a great point too.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great place to kind of pause this conversation, because in our next episode, we're going to be talking a little bit further in the web thing. We kind of touched on it, which is how to incorporate video into a website. It's not just embedding a YouTube link. There is some things to talk about. So we're going to talk about that in the next episode. All right, so I hope that provided you some good insight on little things that you can be working on your website. Again, you can go to letsbuildlocal.com to view all of our other episodes, and we hope to see you again in next week's episode.